welcome to Diecast Restos. I'm Jason, and this week I'm customising a Realtoy Land Rover Discovery 2. These models were frequently found in the Toys R Us Fast Lane series of the late 90s and early 2000s. For their price point, they were very well detailed, but I always felt that they were a little let down by the quality of their wheels. I will most certainly be putting that right today by using a set of Creative 164 wheels that are actually modelled on those from a Ford F-150 SVT. So let's get started by dismantling the model. There's a single rivet post to the front, while the rear has a tongue and slot connecting the base and body. Let's get rid of those cheap and nasty wheels. The 7-seat interior is a good quality moulding with a separate black plastic dashboard piece. This steering wheel is spot on, and I like how it's been fitted at an angle. The spare mounted to the rear door is held to the body with a Phillips head screw. Nothing fancy here, just a chrome plated plastic piece which I'll definitely be changing the colour of. The window plastic is substantial, but it doesn't provide the glass for the safari skylights on the top corners of the passenger compartment. Matchbox's model from the same period does have this figured in, with gaps cut into the casting. I actually prefer this tampographic print purely because the Matchbox equivalent has glass that is deeply recessed. It doesn't look great to me. I won't be making my own openings today, but what I will do is detail these skylights to make them look a bit more like glass. I don't have many details on the origins of this casting, unfortunately, but what I can tell you is that it is based on the Land Rover Discovery 2, which launched in 1998. The original Discovery first went on sale in 1989 and was based on the more upmarket Range Rover, borrowing its chassis, suspension and four-wheel drive system. Similar to the Range Rover, it was only available as a 3-door model at launch, though the 5-door version would follow in 1990. It offered a more affordable alternative to the larger, more middle-class market segment, which was dominated by Land Rover's Japanese competition at the time. The Discovery, like the Range Rover and the Land Rover 90 and 110 of the era, remained a capable off-roader, which was equally adept as a daily use family car that offered more seats and luggage space than the Range Rover. Its 6th and 7th seats were initially jump seats and, when optioned, saw the spare wheel move from inside the cabin to the outside of the side-opening rear door. The roof of the rear cabin was raised to allow for greater headroom for occupants, similar to the Matra Rancho, which predated the Disco by 12 years. At the time of its launch, Land Rover was a subsidiary of the Rover Group, so many of the interior and dashboard components were borrowed from the Maestro, Montego, Metro and Rover 800. Headlights came from a Freight Rover van and the tail lights from a Maestro van. Similarly, several Range Rover body parts were used, such as the door shells and window frames with different aluminium skin panels. The doors kept the omnipresent Morris Marina door handles. Early Discoveries were trimmed in light sonar blue upholstery and plastic, though a more traditional beige would arrive with updates in 1992. Arriving with these updates was an automatic transmission option on the 2.5 litre turbo diesel engine. Other engines offered included the 3.5 litre Rover V8 and a 2 litre inline-4 petrol engine. This was briefly available to attract fleet managers in the UK, as it circumvented tax laws which were beneficial to vehicles under 2 litres at the time. Taxation changes and a distinct lack of power for a vehicle of its size quickly put paid to the 2 litre MPI. Despite this, it was the engine of choice for Discovery supplied to the British royal family. The range was updated in 1994 with a replacement 2.5 litre TDI engine and the increased capacity 3.9 litre Rover V8. Stronger gearboxes were fitted to manual discos, while the exterior received something of a facelift by means of larger headlamps and a second set of rear lights in the bumper. It gained a new interior with a soft feel dashboard, replacing components from the old Austin cars. Instruments were now mostly taken from the Rover 800. This new design allowed for the fitment of airbags and a proper lock and glove box. One particular curiosity of the first iteration of Discovery was the Japanese badge-engineered version. This came about due to a relationship that existed between Rover and Honda. Honda had identified a gap in their lineup of a capable off-roader SUV, and so the Honda Crossroad was born. Most interesting of all is that the Crossroad holds the distinction of being the first and only Honda badged passenger car equipped with a V8 engine. The relationship between Rover and Honda ended in 1994 when Rover was taken over by BMW. Under new ownership, the Series 2 Discovery launched in 1998 with a claimed 720 differences to its predecessor. It was clearly an evolution of the Series 1, but both the interior and exterior were reworked to be less utilitarian. Every body panel save for the rear door skins were altered. The rear body was extended to improve load space, and could now accommodate fully sized humans facing forwards in the third row. The underpinnings remain the same as those seen on the 1970 Range Rover. The 5-cylinder 2.5-litre TD5 diesel engine replaced the 4 cylinders of old, and the petrol 4-litre Rover V8 was borrowed from the P38 Range Rover. It would be facelifted in 2002 with pocketed headlamps that matched the Range Rovers and facelifted Freelanders of the time, plus the rear indicators join the main clusters from the rear bumper. This means my Realtoy model with its distinct headlights makes it a pre-facelift 98 to 2002 Series 2 Discovery. The Disco 3 arrived in 2004, 4 years after Ford had acquired Land Rover from BMW. It kept the key features of the earlier Discovery models, but Land Rover had now developed a body construction method for the Discovery 3 called integrated body frame. This saw the engine bay and passenger compartment mated to a basic ladder frame chassis for the gearbox and suspension. It received a late facelift in 2008 before the Discovery 4's arrival in 2009. This used the same integrated body frame structure as the 3, with the majority of the changes being mechanical. It did, however, receive a new front grille, bumper and front and rear light clusters. It was refreshed in 2013 and replaced in 2017 by the 5th generation Discovery. The 4th and 5th generation cars were launched under Tatar ownership, marking the first time that 2 Discovery generations had been released under the same owner. At the time of recording, this is the current generation Discovery, which received a mid-term update in 2021. Back to the build now, where I've gone in heavy with my black paint pen. Now that the majority of the detail has been added onto the body, it's time to boost it further with some realistic headlight and bonnet lettering decals. the clear coat locking down the decals and details, it's time to add in some colour to the light clusters and some shading where it is needed. The last body detail comes from the incredible ammo wet effects, which has been a bit of a revelation for my customs since being recommended it. It completely changes the look of transparent or translucent surfaces or materials, giving them acres more depth. Here were all of the pieces that make up the Realtoy Discovery. For such an entry-level casting, this has so many components and details that frankly embarrass diecast from other manufacturers at higher price points. This has been such a fun project to work on, and completely unexpectedly so. With the rear-mounted spare screwed on, I can then reintroduce the transparency. Then comes the interior piece, again ridiculously well moulded and highly detailed too. Finally, the base slots into the body at the rear and push fits over the old drilled out rivet post at the front. This was what the Realtoy Land Rover Discovery looked like to begin with. While the wheels are a bit of a letdown, the rest of the casting offered expansive potential for detailing. For an entry-level diecast, the fact that it has trim to the front, rear, sides and roof, plus a screwed-on spare at the rear, to me is quite remarkable. I felt that with some more attention paid to the areas needing black plastic trim and a few other little enhancements, this model could look totally unique. And here's the outcome: a model that looks as OEM as I could manage. The lighter green colour of the body allowed for the additional black plastic trim to really stand out. While these are Ford wheels, they do a fantastic job at replicating the stock alloys of the Disco. Round the back, the spare has lost its garish chrome coating to be replaced by a matte black cover instead. Inside, I've repainted the highly detailed interior, and to the front, I have added on my homemade headlight and bonnet lettering decals. So what do you make of this transformation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and do leave a like if you enjoyed it. Around 3/5 of you watching this aren't subscribed. It costs nothing to click that button, and it helps the channel immensely. Plus, you'll hear about all of my latest releases first. What a win! Anyway, all that leaves me to say is thanks for watching, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.